A lonely man hears a homeless man play a forgotten tune on a broken guitar. But when he asks where the song came from, his entire world shatters. Before starting the story, make sure to subscribe the channel so that you don't miss any update in future. It started with a song. Jason wasn't the kind of man who cried in public. Not at movies. Not at funerals. Not even when he lost his mother 5 years ago. But that day, standing in the middle of the subway station, surrounded by strangers hurrying past him like ghosts, he froze. A melody drifted in the air, soft, worn, and broken, like it had traveled across time. And yet, somehow, it wrapped around his heart with a grip so tight it stole his breath. He turned slowly. There he was, a frail, homeless man hunched over a beat-up guitar, his fingers trembling as they plucked each string like it might break with too much pressure. His clothes were stained, hair tangled, his eyes were closed. But the song. Jason took a shaky step closer, eyes wide.
No, it couldn't be.
But it was. That song, that exact melody, was one only 3 people in the world had ever known. Himself, his younger brother, and their father. Jason's mouth moved, but no sound came. He watched as the man finished the tune, whispering the final note into the stillness of the station like a secret prayer. And then he opened his eyes.
Cloudy. Lost.
But familiar? Jason blinked. His heart thudded against his chest like it was trying to escape. His mind raced back. 20 years ago, 2 little boys sitting on the floor while their father played this very song on his old wooden guitar. A song he wrote. A song he never recorded. A song that disappeared when his father disappeared. Jason knelt down slowly. Where did you learn that?" he whispered. The homeless man stared at him, confused at first. Then he blinked. His lips moved. "I wrote it," the man said quietly. Jason's blood ran cold. What did you say?" "I wrote that song," the man repeated. "Long time ago. For my sons." Jason's vision blurred. His legs nearly gave out beneath him. His voice trembled. What were their names? The man blinked again, looked away. His hands gripped the neck of the guitar tightly. "I don't remember." Jason felt like screaming. His lungs filled with fire, but he kept his voice steady. "My name is Jason. Jason Mitchell. My brother."
Danny.
"Our father disappeared 20 years ago. He used to play that song every night. Only him. Only us." The man didn't react at first. But then something changed. His grip loosened. A small gasp left his lips. And then he stared at Jason, really stared, as if seeing through the fog in his mind for the first time. "Jason," he whispered. Jason couldn't speak. "Jason, you had a little scar above your left eyebrow. You fell chasing Danny down the hallway. You cried until I carried you to the kitchen and gave you a popsicle." Jason broke. The tears came like a flood. He grabbed the man's shoulders. "Dad." But the man shook his head. I don't know. I don't know if I'm him. My head, it's all broken." Jason felt torn between disbelief and hope. He looked down at the guitar. Same old scratches. Same missing string. Same blue sticker his dad had put there the night Mom said they couldn't afford toys, so he turned the guitar into one. "Where did you get this guitar?" Jason asked. The man didn't answer immediately. "It was with me when I woke up," he said. "I don't remember where. I was somewhere dark.
Cold.
Then nothing. Just streets. People avoiding me. Years." Jason felt his knees buckle. The subway noise around them had vanished. All he could hear was that melody, that aching tune that stitched the past to the present. Then the man whispered, "Do you remember what the last note means?" Jason nodded slowly. "You told us it meant home." The man smiled. Not a full smile, but something real. Something ancient and buried. "Jason," he said again, softer now. Jason leaned in. "Yes. Where's Danny?" Jason's throat closed. He looked away, blinking hard.
"He died."
"In a car crash. He was 17. The man didn't speak. His eyes welled up. He reached out slowly, placed a trembling hand on Jason's shoulder, and whispered something Jason hadn't heard in 2 decades. "I'm sorry, son." Jason closed his eyes. He wanted to believe. He needed to believe. But something still didn't make sense. Why didn't his father ever come home? Why did it take a random subway encounter, a melody in a crowd, to bring them back together? He stared at the man's face again. The features were familiar, but aged and weathered beyond reason. Like time had erased the details on purpose.
Or someone had.
Then, from behind them, someone screamed. Jason turned. A woman, young, frantic, was staring at the homeless man like she'd seen a ghost. She dropped her coffee, eyes locked in disbelief. And then she said something that chilled Jason to the bone. "Oh my God, that's him." Jason's head whipped around. "What do you mean?" She stumbled forward. "That man, he was on the news years ago. Disappeared during the factory fire. They thought he died." Jason looked back at the man, his own heart hammering like it was chasing time itself. "Factory fire," he whispered. But the man was shaking now, trembling. His hands hovered over the guitar strings like he was afraid they'd burn him. "I remember smoke," he whispered. "I remember screaming. Then nothing." Jason leaned closer. "Dad, what happened?" The man's hands dropped. "I think someone wanted me gone." Jason felt a storm rise in his chest. And then, the homeless man looked up at him, eyes now clearer than before, and said, "You were never supposed to find me." Jason couldn't move. The air around him felt heavier now, not from the subway crowd, but from the weight of those 7 words. "You were never supposed to find me." They echoed like footsteps in an empty hallway, chasing the fragments of truth still lost in the fog. He stared at the man, this stranger with a song from his childhood and a face from his dreams. A man who might be his father, or might be someone else entirely. Jason swallowed hard. "What do you mean? Why wouldn't I find you?" The homeless man didn't answer immediately. He looked down at the guitar, his fingers resting softly on the strings. He strummed one slow chord, hollow, aching. Then his voice cracked. "Because I didn't want you to get hurt." Jason took a step back, stunned. "What are you talking about? Who would hurt me?" The man looked up, eyes filled with something new, fear. "They said if I ever went back, they'd come for you too." Jason's heart pounded in his ears. "Who are they?" The man looked around, suddenly anxious, as if even in this crowded subway someone might be listening. He leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "I worked at the Langford plant, the one that caught fire. The one they said was an accident." Jason nodded slowly.
"Yeah."
"They found bodies. They said it was faulty wiring." The man shook his head.
"No."
"It was no accident. There was something in that factory they didn't want the world to see. Chemicals. Illegal dumping. Documents they were hiding. I found them. And the night I planned to tell someone," he paused, the memory catching in his throat. "The fire started." Jason could barely breathe. "They tried to kill you. They almost did. And instead of coming home, you disappeared?" The man's eyes welled with tears. "They knew my name, my address, my son's. I thought if I stayed away, they'd forget. That you'd be safe." Jason felt a wave of heat flush through his body, part fury, part disbelief. "All these years you were alive, living like this, and you never sent a message? A letter? Anything?" "I tried," the man whispered. "But my mind, it was gone for a long time. The fire, it took more than just my memory. There were months I didn't even know my own name." Jason clenched his fists. He looked down the platform, unable to process the storm inside him. Part of him wanted to scream. Part of him wanted to hug the man in front of him and never let go. And just as the silence became unbearable, a deep voice interrupted. "You shouldn't be talking about this here." Jason turned sharply. A man in a gray suit stood nearby, his face unreadable. No badge, no name tag, just cold, watching eyes. The homeless man stiffened. His fingers curled around the neck of the guitar. Jason stepped forward protectively. "Who are you?" The man smiled, but it never reached his eyes. "Just someone who works with old cases. I don't remember asking you to join ours." "You're asking questions that might bring danger to the wrong places," the man said calmly. Sometimes it's better to leave things buried. Jason stepped in front of his father. He's not a case.
He's my family.
And I think it's time the truth came out. The suited man stared for a moment longer, then slowly turned and walked away into the crowd, like a shadow fading back into the dark. Jason exhaled slowly. He turned back. Was he one of them? The man nodded faintly. They still watch. They never stopped. Jason looked around the station. People passed by, clueless. The world kept moving like nothing was wrong. But something was wrong. A song had led him to a ghost. A ghost with secrets. And now he was tangled in something far deeper than memory. He helped the man up from the bench. "We can't stay here," Jason said. "Come with me." The man hesitated. "What if they follow?" "Then let them. I've already lost you once. I won't do it again." They walked up the station stairs, sunlight hitting them like an unexpected truth. Jason hailed a cab, helped the man inside, and gave his address. The ride was silent, heavy, filled with glances and unspoken questions. At home, Jason made him tea, sat him down gently on the couch, laid the guitar nearby, like a relic returning to its altar. "Do you remember this place?" he asked. The man looked around slowly. His eyes landed on the faded photograph above the fireplace. 2 boys, 1 dog, 1 man. He whispered, "You still have it." Jason nodded. "Danny's ashes are in the cabinet," he said quietly. The man didn't speak, just lowered his head, hands trembling. Then Jason pulled out something from the drawer, an old, crumpled letter. Never opened. No return address. Postmarked 12 years ago. "I found this in Mom's box after she died," Jason said. "Did you send it?" The man's eyes widened. He took the letter with shaking fingers, turned it over, stared at the handwriting. That's mine." Jason leaned forward, breath catching. "Then why didn't she ever open it?" "She probably thought it was false hope.
Too painful to try.
Too dangerous if it was real." Jason nodded slowly. He understood now. Pain makes people protect themselves, sometimes even from healing. Then something clicked in his mind. "You said earlier you remembered me falling the popsicle. You remembered details, but you said your memory was gone." "It comes and goes," the man said. "Music helps. That's why I played that song every day. I didn't remember why at first, just that it mattered, that someone somewhere might hear it." Jason's eyes filled again. "And I did." The man reached forward, placed his hand over Jason's. "I'm proud of you, son. Even if I wasn't there, I always loved you." Jason let out a broken laugh. "You really are him, aren't you?" "I hope so," the man whispered. "But even if I'm not, thank you for giving me a reason to feel alive again." Jason was about to speak, to finally say the words he had waited 20 years to say, when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. 1 message. "He's not who you think he is." Jason's eyes widened. He looked up slowly, heart now pounding with confusion. The man across from him, his father, or so he thought, was watching him calmly. Jason's voice cracked. "Who are you really?" Jason stared at the message on his phone as if it had sucked the oxygen out of the room. "He's not who you think he is." His hands began to tremble. The room, once filled with memories and warmth, now felt colder, like something unseen had slithered in through the walls. He glanced up at the man on his couch, the man who had cried over Danny, who knew the scar above his eyebrow, who had played that song. Could all of it be a lie? Jason forced a breath. "Did you send this?" The man blinked. "What?" Jason tilted the phone so he could see the message. He squinted. "I don't have a phone." Jason stared harder. "Then who did?" I don't know. Why would someone send that?" "Maybe," Jason said, his voice quieter now, "because someone doesn't want me to trust you." The man leaned back slowly, pain flashing across his face. "Or maybe they're right." Jason froze. "What does that mean?" "I don't know who I am, Jason. I remember pieces. Moments. But there are things I don't remember. Whole years. Names. Sometimes I dream of a burning room and screaming, and sometimes it's just silence. Maybe I wanted to be your father so badly that I believed the music made it real. Jason's throat clenched. You remembered details no one else could have known. The man nodded. But trauma can play tricks. And people get desperate. Jason looked down at the old guitar resting beside the couch. The sticker. The crack on the neck. The faded initials on the back. TM. Is that your handwriting? He asked. The man reached out, hesitated, then ran a thumb over the initials. His breath caught. I think so. Jason's voice cracked. If you're not my father, then who are you? The man looked down at his hands, ashamed. Maybe just someone who lost everything and heard a boy say dad and didn't want to correct him. Jason stood abruptly.
No.
No, don't do this.
Not now.
Not after all this. I don't want to lie to you. You said you remembered me.
Danny. The song.
The popsicle. Tears slipped down the man's cheeks. I did. I do. But what if I don't know why I remember them? What if I watched you, followed you for days, memorized pieces just to become who you needed? Jason took a step back. You followed me? The man held up his hands. No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant, maybe I saw you in the station once. Maybe the song, maybe it came back because I was hoping it would. Jason's voice broke. Stop. I don't want to, but I have to. Jason turned away. The walls were spinning now, not from dizziness, but from heartbreak. The kind that bends you inward like metal in a fire. The kind that comes not when you lose something, but when you almost get it back and realize it was never real. He wanted to scream, to tear the guitar apart, to demand the universe stop playing these sick, beautiful tricks. But then something changed. The man stood up. His legs were shaky, but his voice steadied. There's something you need to see. Jason turned, chest tight. What now? The man reached into his coat, the same torn, dusty coat he'd been wearing in the subway, and pulled out a folded envelope. Yellowed. Fragile. He handed it to Jason. Jason opened it carefully. Inside was a photograph. 2 little boys. 1 man.
A guitar.
Jason's breath caught. Where did you get this? It was in my coat when I woke up outside that shelter. I've carried it ever since. I didn't understand it until I saw you. Jason turned the photo over. On the back, in faded ink, were the words, to my sons, Jason and Danny. You are the music in my soul. Love, Dad. Jason's knees nearly buckled. You kept this, he whispered. I don't know how it stayed with me. I don't know who put it there. But something inside me knew this was all that mattered. Jason dropped into the chair, staring at the photo. The evidence was there. Tangible.
Real.
But the fear still clawed at him. The doubt. The warning text. The man's own uncertainty. So he made a choice. I'm going to get a DNA test, he said firmly. The man nodded slowly. Okay. Jason met his eyes. If you're not him, I need to know. And if you are him, the man's voice quivered. Then maybe I can finally come home. The next few days passed in silence. Jason brought him clothes. Let him sleep in the guest room. They didn't talk much. Just existed, side by side, like 2 strangers waiting for time to make a decision. And then the results arrived. Jason held the envelope like it was a live wire. He opened it slowly. Read. Reread. Then dropped it on the floor. The man looked up, scared. What does it say? Jason's eyes welled up. He nodded. You're my father. The man gasped and collapsed onto his knees, like his legs had given out beneath the weight of being whole again. He sobbed into his hands. Jason didn't move for a second. Then he walked over, and for the first time in 20 years, he wrapped his arms around the man he thought he lost forever. They held each other in silence. But just as they pulled apart, Jason's phone buzzed again. Another message. Now he's led them straight to you. Jason looked around, heart jumping into his throat. What the hell is this? He opened his security app. His front camera showed a van parked across the street. Unmarked. Windows tinted. Jason turned to his father. Do you recognize it? The man's face went pale. They found us. Jason clenched his fists. Then we don't run. He turned, grabbed the photo, the guitar, and looked at his father. Not like a man unsure of the past, but like a man ready to fight for his future. We tell the story. All of it. The factory, the cover-up, everything they tried to bury. But they'll come for us. Let them. Jason opened his laptop, hit record, and said the words that would finally break the silence. My name is Jason Mitchell, and this is my father.
He was supposed to be dead.
But he's not. And here's why. The story that began with a broken guitar on a subway bench was about to become something the world could no longer ignore. Sometimes, the past doesn't return with answers. It returns with questions that shape who we choose to become. Truth may get buried, love may get lost, but one spark, a song, a memory, a moment, can bring it all back. Never stop listening, because sometimes what you've been searching for is still out there, waiting to be heard.